Michael Patrick Thornton, it's so good to see you.
Paul, great to see you.
Back on Broadway.
Yes, yes.
Look, it's really working out. Like you have like a hearty IBDB page now.
You're right. It's been almost every year, since 2021. Right, yeah.
Yeah, and what you do is you do the big classics with big stars,
That's
right? That's sort of like, that's your thing so far.
Yes.
That's what we know of you.
And a song and dance man, but that hasn't come yet. Yeah.
So, you did Macbeth with Daniel Craig.
Yes.
Right? And then you did with Jessica Chastain at Doll's House, and then these two very large heads over here.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. What's it like working with these two guys and waiting for Godot?
Yes.
This has been, the pronunciation of that word, but we're going with Godot.
It is. It's maddening because Beckett always said the play has nothing to do with God, but yet also insisted that it's pronounced that way. So it's very kind of confusing.
So this is actually the correct way to pronounce it
let's put soft quotation marks around correct way. But, but Alex talked to a guy that knew Beckett very well, and Beckett said it's Godot.
So that's who we're trusting.
That's not who we're trusting. That's who we'll blame if we're wrong. But these two guys worked their butt off, and we've had Beckett nerds who've seen the play 12 times, and what they come away with is that it's the most heartfelt production of the play, and like people are laughing and crying, and and I think it's because of these two guys and their generational friendship that is the bedrock for those two characters and our production at large. And so there's a warm, glowing heart at the center of it that I don't think you usually find with this play. And I think that's what people are responding to.
It's interesting that when you do these classics that all have a very specific director's take on a classic, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like always coming to Broadway with something, and we don't know how people are going to take it, right? Because people sort of know the material already. Yeah. Would it be fun to just come to Broadway with something brand new where people just don't have any of that?
I love that. I mean, for 20 years, I ran the Gift Theater Company in Chicago, and most of what we did were Chicago, Midwest, or world premiere plays.
Yeah.
And so it's a great treat because they're not coming in with pre-existing kind of thoughts of how you ought to do it.
Yeah.
The problem is marketing because no one's ever heard of the goddamn
thing. Right,
so
exactly.
There are trade-offs.
Yeah, that's the trade-off,
But I'm a new play geek, and I love writers wholeheartedly. So I, of course, would love to do a new play as well.
Yeah. So waiting for Godot. So obviously you have a great relationship with Jamie Lloyd. Is he a guy that you've spoken to regularly? Do you keep in touch?
Yeah, I mean, I trust Jamie implicitly. And when I saw that these guys were going to do the play, I wrote him an email.
Right.
And my dad was very sick at the time. We lost him in January.
I know. I actually wanted to talk to you about your dad because I read the beautiful Instagram tribute to him, because I love how you framed who he was, because you didn't just speak to him about he was your father, but you talked about sort of like the relationships with all these different people in the world that he had, including just the theater community.
Yeah, he was kind of an unlikely shepherd, of a lot of different groups, and a lovely human being. And I found myself thinking about Beckett as I was kind of revving up the internal willpower to go to whatever assisted living place he was in, and just kind of put a brave face forward and kind of improvise with him based on what his reality was of that day, And weirdly, Beckett was very calming, and I was just kind of going through some of my favorite lines of Beckett, and then got to Godot and Lucky's speech, and weirdly, it just became kind of like this verbal shield. So I wrote Jamie that and was like, look, I don't know what you're thinking about this character, but I think, to me, this play is about memory, and these guys are so worried that they can't remember things. And that was just an immediate way in as an actor. And thank God I have it, because it's really helped me get through a tough time. Yeah,
so are you thinking of Dad all the time?
He's in the balcony every performance. Absolutely. Yeah, picture him up there.
What was your dad like? And what did he mean to you in terms of your career? And I mean, you've had quite a journey.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your dad.
He was insanely proud of me. Like any father and son relationship. You want to hear it all the time from your dad. But I would go into whatever hospital he was in, and every doctor and nurse had already heard about all my TV credits and that I was going to be on Broadway again. And he was my number one cheerleader. He was a cop for 31 years in Chicago, and then became kind of like the water boy for my theater company, and would bring water over and ice. And his nickname was Mr. Fun. And he had business cards printed up that he would hand out to strangers that said, fun to look at, fun to be with, fun to touch. And somehow he never got sued for having that on his business card. But he was the life of the party, and a big teddy bear, a tough guy, but a teddy bear, and supported me implicitly.
Mm-hmm. When you're rehearsing something like this with this cast and Brandon Durden, who plays Pazzo, your real counterpart, Lucky and Pazzo, is a legendary duo.
Yes.
Yeah. When you're rehearsing this absurdist play, which is something that obviously audiences come in and just kind of you have to like sort of find your path through these words, right? How personal is the rehearsal process? I mean, do you share things like about your dad, and how much are we like sort of? I'm curious how actors sort of bond within a text like this.
It's a great question. I think Brandon would be okay with me telling the story because he's told it publicly before. But Brandon lost his dad recently as well. And he was flying back to Houston when he got this audition and was like, I don't know if I have this in me, you know? Long story short, he gets back to his home, and I think it was a relative of a friend who knew his dad, said, hey, I found these pictures. I think he would want you to have them. And there were only 2 photos in this manila envelope. And one photo was a photo of Brandon's dad playing Pazzo.
Wow.
And then the second photo was a play that there was no attribution on the photo, but it was just a 2-shot of Brandon's dad as a character. And his scene partner was an actor who used a wheelchair.
Wow.
So he was like, well, shit, I should probably audition for this. And that was before he knew that I was cast. And so we had an initial Zoom, and he told that story, and I was kind of sharing what, my family had gone through recently. So something seems to be conspiring to put us both together in the room to tell the story.
Lucky is usually seen as sort of the subservient, at least in my eyes. I'm no expert in Beckett, but sort of a subservient character to Pazzo, right?
Yeah. It says Lucky, comma, a slave in the script.
So that is actually in the script.
In the script.
Yeah. Okay, it's described as a slave. Okay, because I didn't know if that was an accurate representation.
Yeah.
As an actor who uses a wheelchair, what is the relationship like in your eyes when you're looking at a production like this? Because I know you love doing work that isn't about characters using wheelchairs, obviously. Right. The dynamics feels kind of very different in this production, at least for me. It feels very sort of equal. Talk a little bit about that.
It's another great question. Yeah, I was not interested in a power dynamic that was completely asymmetrical from beginning to end. And people had asked Beckett, why do you call him Lucky? And he would say, I think he's lucky because he has no expectations. And then when people would freak out about kind of, well, what is this play about? He would just say, it's all symbiosis. And symbiotic relationships can be equal, they can be asymmetric, but they're fluid. Those dynamics change. And I think both Brandon and I were interested in an ever-shifting, codependent, ride or die kind of relationship that holds space for best friends, that holds space for lovers, that holds space for brothers, father-sons. I think it's every relationship at once, and hopefully that's what people respond to.
Talk about the set. It's beautiful to look at. Is there a name for that? What is that?
Yet another production of Waiting for Godot with a huge cone. The set has gone through a lot of different names in rehearsal. Like I think Keanu was keeping a list in his notebook. So the MRI of death, the tunnel, the half pipe. Yeah, it was a half pipe. It looked like a skate park kind of. But Beckett says it should take place on an empty stage, and without being like too clever or cheeky, I think it looks like a rehearsal floor or a stage. It's just rolled up. And so, it's this cone, this telescopic cone that has a rake to it and is enclosed and is a very trippy effect to look at from the audience and even from the monitors backstage.
Yeah. You're at the Hudson Theater, which is the same theater you did Doll's House. And I know that you had to sort of learn how to navigate that theater.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's good that you're there. You already know how to navigate.
Yes,
You
yes.
sort of were able to walk in and say, I know this place.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and they had the stair lift for me, so they had the little gremlins chair that takes me downstairs. And we found a new way to get downstairs through the hotel that we're very excited by.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's nice. And so they've done this ramp structure off stage right for me to get up on stage, and it's very easy. And I think more theaters should do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Talk about these Broadway runs. This is your third, and it's sort of taking you through the holidays, and you are Chicago based. And I know Obliteration sounded really like a great show you've been doing in Chicago. Yeah. Talk briefly about what is that?
Obliteration is a play that was devised and developed by my buddy Andrew Hinderaker, who's an ensemble member at the Gift. He's my closest collaborator. We've done, I think, 4 or 5 plays together, 4 different TV shows, Black Rabbit, most recently on Netflix with Jude Law and Jason Bateman. And one actress in the Gift, who's one of my favorite actresses on the planet, Sid Blakewell, we've never really acted together, and we wanted to. And so during the pandemic, we met on Zoom, and Andrew's like, "What are you afraid of?" Da, 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 da. And it got to 1 act of a script about 2 stand-up comedians. And we kept kind of developing that. And long story short, we workshopped it through Northwestern University, and then we performed it most recently downtown Chicago at the Revival Theater, and sold that out. And and did it at Steppenwolf the year before that. Right. It's a very powerful, a heart-shattering story about these 2 strangers whose lives are falling apart, and they hold on to each other desperately, and they both change as people and comedians. And I mean, that's a show that I would love to bring to Broadway someday.
Yeah. And what about the beard maintenance? Very
well, there's beard oils. I've somehow went through 45 years on Earth without knowing that there are beard oils that you're supposed to use. So I'm using a beard oil right now. Okay. For my beautiful beard.
What does your wife think of this?
She's detest is probably too light of a word, but she's playing with it a little bit and tugging on it when I'm annoying. So it's proven to be a useful prop, but it'll be off seconds after I exit the show, January 4th. There'll be a razor waiting off stage. Absolutely, it's not coming back.
So do you feel like you're solving the mysteries of the world by doing this play every night?
I don't know if I'm solving the mysteries of the world. I think it's meaning a lot for disabled folks to see a wheelchair user on stage again on Broadway. I think it's upending what people have thought you can do with that character. Yeah. And I think it's upending what people thought the Potts and Lucky relationship ought to be. Yeah. And how it ought to be done. And I think whatever it is, it's a powerful quintet, sextet, because there's 2 actors who play the boy. But it's a powerful small little chamber orchestra, and whatever special magic is there, it's there. And sometimes when you win, you just kind of back away from the table and take your chips and go, "Thank you."
Yeah. Well, I love that you're here doing the work, and the audiences are loving it. I loved it, and I'm always thrilled to see you.
You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Can't wait to see what you do next.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.